There's been a lot of buzz about Layer 3 blockchains lately, and a new player just stepped into the game. It's called Onyx, and it's built something pretty interesting. What makes it special? Well, Onyx just launched its network on top of Arbitrum and Base, making it faster and cheaper than most other chains out there. But it's not trying to compete with everyone else. It's focusing purely on financial applications. Onyx has its own token called XCN that does three main things: pays for transactions, lets holders vote on network changes, and rewards people who stake it. In this video, we'll look at what Onyx is doing differently and why people are starting to pay attention to this project. Let's go. So what exactly is Onyx? It started as a blockchain infrastructure project back in 2014, when venture capitalist Adam Ludwin had a vision for modernizing financial systems. The project got some serious backing too. We're talking over $40 million from big names like Nasdaq, Citigroup, and Capital One. The project's gone through some interesting changes since then. In 2018, Stellar's Lightyear Corp bought it. Then in 2021, it became a private company with a new board and new plans. But the real game changer came in October 2024, when Onyx launched its Layer 3 blockchain, the XCN Ledger. Now, let's cut through the tech talk. What does Layer 3 even mean? Basically, Onyx sits on top of two other blockchain networks. First, there's Arbitrum Orbit, which handles all the heavy lifting of processing transactions. Then there's Base, which is Coinbase's Layer 2 network, taking care of the settlement side of things. This setup is what makes Onyx different from your typical blockchain. Instead of trying to do everything, it's zeroed in on making financial applications work better. Think lending, borrowing, and trading, but faster and cheaper than what you'd get on Ethereum directly. At its core, Onyx runs on something called XCN. That's its native token. Every time someone uses the network, they need XCN to pay for transactions. But as we saw at the outset, XCN isn't just for paying fees. If you hold XCN, you can vote on changes on how the network runs through something called the Onyx DAO. Plus, you can stake your XCN to earn rewards. One cool thing about Onyx is its gas refund program. The team put aside $100,000 worth of ETH to pay back users for their transaction costs. Every Friday, if you've used the network, you might get some of your fees refunded. Let's talk about what makes Onyx stand out. First up is speed and cost. Since it's built on top of Arbitrum Orbit, Onyx can handle way more transactions per second than older networks. Plus, because it uses Base for settlement, you're not paying those crazy Ethereum gas fees. Speaking of fees, Onyx has this unique burn system. Every time someone makes a transaction, part of the XCN token gets burned, meaning it's gone forever. This wasn't just a random choice. The idea is to make XCN more valuable over time as the supply gets smaller. Now, here's something most other networks don't do. Onyx lets you use NFTs as collateral. Are you thinking of borrowing money but don't want to sell your expensive NFT? You can use it as a collateral on Onyx. Right now, it works with some pretty big NFT collections like Base C and WPunks. The lending system is pretty flexible too. No monthly payments or set deadlines. As long as your collateral stays healthy, your credit line stays open. The staking system is worth talking about too. When you stake XCN, you're not just earning rewards, you're getting voting power in the Onyx DAO. But you'll need to stake at least 100 million XCN to have voting rights. And for a proposal to pass, it needs at least 200 million votes in favor. The network's seeing some serious staking action too. Over 3 billion XCN are currently staked. But here's what's really interesting. Onyx has this gas refund program that's pretty unique. As we mentioned earlier, the team set aside $100,000 in ETH just to pay back users for their transaction fees. Every Friday, if you've used the network that week, you might get some of your gas fees back. In January 2025 alone, they refunded over $30,000 to more than 2,600 users. There's still about $44,000 left in the refund pool. And let's not forget about security. Onyx runs its transactions through multiple layers of security. First through Arbitrum system, then through Base, and finally settling on Ethereum. Each layer adds its own security checks, making it really tough for anyone to mess with transactions. The network also supports a bunch of different tokens, not just standard cryptocurrencies, but also things like ERC20, ERC721, and ERC1155 tokens. This means you can use pretty much any major token type on the network. Now, let's look at the market side of XCN. The token's currently listed on several major exchanges, which matters for liquidity. Basically, how easy it is to buy or sell XCN when you want to. The current market cap is sitting around $870 million, making it a mid-sized player in the crypto space. The token's distribution is broken down like this. About 44% in circulation, 28% is held by the company, roughly 19% is controlled by the DAO, and 9% is allocated to the team. In terms of price history, XCN hit an all-time high of $0.1842 during the summer of 2022. And the lowest it's ever been is $0.000740. Looking at the token distribution schedule, the team's got a plan. Starting in April 2025, they'll release 200 million tokens monthly. While this structured release aims to manage supply, such a large monthly issuance could lead to dilution if demand doesn't keep up. How the market absorbs these tokens will be key to maintaining price stability. The DAO treasury's interesting too. It's not just sitting there. Those funds are actively used for development grants, liquidity incentives, and partnerships. The team needs community approval through voting to use these funds, which keeps everything transparent. And here's something neat. XCN can be used with bridged USDC on the network. This means you can trade against a stable USD value, which is pretty important for anyone doing serious trading or lending. Last but not least, XCN holders get first access to new features and products on the network. For instance, when Onyx launches its upcoming smart wallet, XCN holders will be first in line to try it out. 2025 kicked off with some big moves for Onyx. The biggest news was their partnership with Chain. Starting in January 20th, if you pay for Chain products using XCN, you get a 30% discount. But it gets better. If you're staking XCN, you can get up to 75% off Chain services through their new loyalty program. Chain's also getting ready to launch something called Chain.ai. It's going to be a tool for building smart contracts using AI. The cool part? You can only use it with XCN tokens. This is a pretty smart move that could make XCN more valuable since people will need it to use these new tools. That aside, the network's been growing fast. As we mentioned earlier, the latest numbers show over 3 billion XCN are now staked in the protocol. More people staking means more people are committed to the project long term, which is a good sign for stability. But it hasn't all been smooth sailing. In September 2024, there was a security issue that cost the protocol about $3.8 million. A hacker found a bug in their NFT liquidation contract and managed to drain some funds, including 4.1 million VUSD, 7.35 million XCN, and some other tokens. However, the core XCN token and staking pools weren't affected. This wasn't Onyx's first run-in with hackers either. Back in October 2023, they lost about $2.1 million when someone exploited a known bug in their code. See, Onyx was built using some code from another project called Compound Finance, and this bug was actually known and had been used to hack other projects before. But here's what matters. The team learned from these incidents. They jumped on both problems right away, patched the vulnerabilities, and stepped up their security game big time. Now they're running regular security checks, and they've made their bug bounty program a top priority. To keep things even safer, Onyx made a big push on security awareness. They've been really clear about warning users about scams. They're making everyone know that the only real Onyx website ends with onyx.org. Anything else is fake. They've also started putting warning images on all their social media posts and set up automatic reminders in their Telegram group. The gas refund program's been hitting new records too. So that's where Onyx stands in early 2025. The Layer 3 launch got people's attention, but it's the focus on financial applications and that unique gas refund program that's keeping them interested. With Chain's new program rolling out, the smart wallet on the way, and more features in development, there's a lot happening here. The security issues from 2024 were a wake-up call, but the team's response showed they take protection seriously. Onyx isn't trying to be the next Ethereum. It's carving out its own space, focusing on making financial applications work better on the blockchain. And with that, Onyx should be an interesting project to keep an eye on in 2025. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more.